Hello everyone, and welcome to Brief Tune. Today, we bring you Slugterra, an epic sci-fi comedy adventure set deep underground and one of the most creative cartoons ever. The cartoon is a Canadian series with 6 seasons and 63 episodes. Alright, now go ahead, sit back, grab that popcorn, and as always, enjoy the video. Beneath the usual surface, a high-tech, underground, and intelligent life has always existed. The Slugterrans went on with their life without ever interacting with the surface people, aka the topsiders. They never ventured past their own world and considered the burning world a myth. However, since there are stories about the surface world, it can be assumed that a rare few have managed to reach it. Anyways, Slugterrans are diverse species and tribes. They come in various forms, including humans and other humanoid creatures, each with their own distinct traits and abilities, cultures, and rivalries. They consider the slugs to be not just pets, but also partners in battles and adventures. Okay, so now that we've mentioned slugs, let's talk a little bit more about them. So, according to the legends, elemental slugs were the only 5 slugs, and from them came all the others. If they got hurt, the other descendant slugs would get hurt as well. So, yeah, they had a special category of slugs that possess a power aligned with a specific natural element. There are 5 of them: fire slugs, water slugs, earth slugs, air slugs, and energy slugs. The bond between Slugterrans and their slugs emphasize the importance of respecting nature, which means that they need to protect slugs and their habitats to ensure a balanced world. Now, aside from the slugs, there are also portals. These gates are magical barriers that were created by the Shadow Clan to prevent the evil things that lie beneath from passing through and require the special energy of guardian slugs to power them. Through these portals, one can transport objects to other parts of the world using the elemental's energy. The guardian slugs are not the only slugs to control them, though. The elementals could too, but they are scattered all over the caverns, and to get together, they need a slug slinger who can understand them. Anyways, so how did the world come to this? Well, back when the world was a peaceful place, exactly in China, Yang was a master archer who lived nearly 2,000 years ago in the time of the first emperor of China. He was the only person who stood up to the evil emperor and his army, who ruled with tyranny and cruelty to find the ancient elixir of immortality. Amidst their battle, the emperor wielded dark and supernatural powers, which would knock Yang off a cliff. And just like that, Yang was defeated and thought dead. However, when Yang awoke, he went deeper and into a river that would lead him into a new world called Peach Blossom Spring Cavern, where he found others living there, as well as the creatures we know as slugs. Yang adapted to this new world and realized its beautiful harmony, and eventually found a way to combine slugs and his archery skills and martial arts to then go on to create Slug Fu and become the cavern's first Eastern champion. He also used his skills to protect this world, and while doing so, one day he caught a criminal, but this latter unfortunately escaped and revealed their location. That is how the Emperor eventually found out about this new world that he wasn't in control of. And when that happened, Yang had to face him again, and the force of their battle crumbled the ground beneath the Emperor and sent him down an 1819 level drop. When he fell into the dark water, he obtained his wish of becoming immortal, and although he obtained this great power, he could not escape his exile, so he invested his time in creating an army of stone warriors and trying to escape the prison. Yet, the magic of the Guardian Gate above him just simply wouldn't allow it. Now, in the meantime, the world evolved as well as the species. For instance, there are the Molenoids, who are primarily known for being excellent navigators and can easily find their way through the tunnels of Slugterra. This is why they possess a vast repository of maps, though they have no interest in defending this collection of information beyond the traps already built into the vault. Molenoids tend to rely on their king to solve problems rather than addressing issues themselves, which has led to a lack of individual skills among them. We've also got cave trolls, many of whom belong to the mechanical and working class. This intelligent community is hooked on building and engineering and is the creator behind the beasts that work like motorcycles. The reason why they made them is because of the lack of travel options in their cavern, because it's somehow isolated and set apart from the others. In addition to these creatures, monsters, there are also objects like vitalis crystals, which are known for their being mined into extinction, making them extremely rare, as well as an energy source that enables the blaster to shoot 2 slugs at once. Slugterrans lived in peace for years, and despite their advanced knowledge, which is way more advanced than the one of the surface, Slugterrans, who rarely venture beyond their underground world, never imagined that there was a world above them. They thought that it was just a myth. However, there were rumors that referred to the surface as the burning world, where humans, or topsiders, reside. Years after the Emperor was taken down, in the deep caverns, another story began. When Dr. Black was a kid, he worked with his father, who was a salesman. One day, while they were selling a product that boosts the shots, they were attacked by a man called Vigo Dare, who claimed that they could not sell there without his permission. The two duel, and his father loses and abandons him. Younger Black was taken by Dare and was put to work in a mine in terrible conditions. This hard upbringing taught him how to steal and fend for himself, so after getting a weapon, he becomes a slug slinger and part of Dare's gang. As a gangster, he lost a shipment of slugs to Jim O'Shane, Eli's great uncle. This loss resulted in him being chased out of the cavern and his eventual imprisonment. After getting out of prison, Black grew up dreaming of becoming the top slug slinger around. He was also a candidate for becoming a student of the unbeatable master, Leon Daifu, but he lost to Will Shane, and the master saw darkness in his heart, so he chased him out. After his defeat by Will Shane, Black retired from slug slinging and shifted his focus to science and industry. Okay, now let's talk about the Shanes. For generations, the Shanes, a family of slug slingers, has been traveling from the surface down to Slugterra to protect the caverns. Will Shane proved himself to the unbeatable master and spent about 10 years learning from her to become a master slug slinger. He eventually settled down and got married on the surface to have a son named Eli. He was protecting Slugterra and visiting Eli from time to time, and at one point, he promised Eli that he would take him down to Slugterra and they would start their adventure together. Although everyone remembers Will as a hero, there is this kid named Twist who harbored a deep resentment towards the Shane family because his father fell to his doom after Will Shane caught him stealing a large number of slugs. During this chase, his father died and he became an orphan. Anyways, Will goes on with his life until one day he confronts Black again and wins over the slug's favor. This results in them leaving Black and refusing to fight for him, including Burpy. Black promises that he will return and win against Will without the slugs. Black then searched for the deep caverns, a place beneath Slugterra, and traveled to them through a portal. There, he met the Darkbane, who were trying to conquer Slugterra in order to reach the surface. They gave him some of the Dark Water, a malicious substance that turns the slugs into ghouls. As part of the deal, Black allowed one of the Darkbane to disguise themselves and return to Slugterra with him. And with this, he creates his first ghoul slug and defeats Will Shane. Before disappearing, Will sent Burpy to find Eli and bring him to Slugterra. The 15-year-old boy knew nothing about the underground world since his father was mostly absent and his mother abandoned him for unknown reasons when he was just 10, so he was raised by his uncle. Now, with Will Shane gone, the caverns are left unprotected for a couple of years until the arrival of Eli Shane, who now has to unravel many of the Shane secrets on his own. In the meantime, which is more than 2,000 years, the Emperor waited until he collected enough slugs that would accidentally find their way into the caverns, turning them into ghouls, and would go on to create a sword blaster to shoot them at the portal and break it. Eventually, the balance of slug energy wasn't powerful enough to keep the portal closed and hold him and his warriors back, so yeah, they were freed. The Shadow Clan and Guardian slugs fled, but the Emperor got his hands on a Guardian Boondock and Ghoullet. This new corrupted slug can not only corrupt slugs, but also people. He would then go on to face Junjae, one of Yang's descendants, and eventually ghoul him with the goon and make him his servant. At the same time, in a distant, isolated region completely unknown to the 99 Caverns, Junjie, one of Yang's descendants, trained day and night by the hands of Leon, the unbeatable master, who prepared him to become the protector of his caverns. Like Eli, Junjie inherited the role of protector when he came of age. For centuries, his forebears had practiced the ancient art of slug fu to protect the eastern caverns. However, one day, an unprecedented threat emerged that even slug fu could not thwart: a slug named the Goon. The Emperor defeated Junjie and twisted him into a wretched human, and he was called, during the period of his corruption, the Dark Slinger. He served the Emperor for 20 years as the Dark Slinger and wreaked havoc upon the Eastern Cavern. The Dark Slinger served the Emperor for 20 years, stealing the slugs for energy and terrorizing those who trusted he would protect them. In the meantime, back in the 99 Caverns, after defeating Will Shane, Black kept making evil slugs and taking over the underground slowly. He took over the mines to look for more dark water and transformed a broken-down train system into the Slugterran Express, which connected various caverns and increased his wealth and influence. Black also joined shooting tournaments and won using his corrupted slugs. Okay, now let's go back to the present when Burpy goes up to the surface and guides Eli to follow his faith and continue his father's legacy. Upon arriving at his father's hideouts, Eli finds a blazer, a mecha beast, and a letter that includes his first mission. He shares his sadness with Burpy before being joined by Pronto, a Molinoid who becomes the first member of the Shane Gang after leaving his lavish society and high status as an heir. The first mission Eli is assigned to do is collecting slugs, so this Molinoid takes him to a tournament to assist him in expanding his arsenal of slugs. Upon discovering that Eli has never participated in slug slinging before, he seeks out Cord Zane for a sparring session. He also meets up with Trixie, who had previously rescued Eli when he wasn't paying attention, and the four quickly became close friends. Black discovers that a young guy by the name of Shane is participating in the tournament, and that he keeps defeating his rivals one by one, winning over their slugs. This tournament marks Black and Eli's first encounter, where he attempts to recruit Eli to his side by offering him a corrupted slug. But Eli refuses, and this is where he tastes defeat for the first time. Despite losing, Eli's friends promise to stick together, protect Slugterra, and thwart Dr. Black's plans. They officially name themselves as the New Shane Gang. On their first mission, which is collecting the slugs, and on the way, Eli trades his electroshock slug, Jules, because they're in a situation where they need supplies for his team. The trade was made to acquire the necessary gear and equipment that would help them. After trading Jules, Eli regretted his decision, which led him to retrieve Jules. However, they find out that Jules is heading to get corrupted after getting sold to Dr. Black. Eli's efforts to get Jules back resulted in a confrontation with Black, who uses Jules against Eli. The Shane Gang almost loses, so in a last attempt, Burpy creates a firewall that allows them to escape the place. While attempting to catch a frost crawler, Pronto messes up and causes the place to freeze over. Eli shoots Burpy to melt the ice down, and that's how they add a new slug to their collection, but at the cost of Eli's blaster. After that, the Shane Gang ventures into Quiet Lawn Cavern in search of frost crawler slugs. However, the Hula Gang, a group of punks who believe they can bully the locals with explosive slugs, arrive. As they wreak havoc, Eli steps in to defend the cavern's inhabitants, all while his blaster is still down. So, Eli and his friends go to Red Hook's place, one of the best blastersmiths who actually created the Shane family weapons. Red Hook recognizes Eli as the son of Will Shane and decides to give him a new blaster that is revealed to be one of only two in existence in Slugterra, with the other belonging to Eli's father. After getting this new weapon, Eli and the gang head to the village once again. As a result, he gets a Boondocks, an extremely rare and powerful healer slug just like the one the Emperor got. The Shane Gang heard about the Enigmo slug hunt, which is long thought to be a legend. This rare slug is highly sought after, leading to intense competition among slug slingers to capture it. They aim to secure the slug before it falls into the hands of Gerhard Stalker. During their pursuit, Eli discovers a deadly trap set by Stalker. He saves a slug from falling into it, only to realize that the slug he rescued is the Enigmo. After his hunting mission, the gang's mecha beasts malfunction, and the gang suspects that it's due to the factory's upgrade, so they visit it. They travel to the mecha forge, where they discover that Darius Yorman has corrupted many of the mecha beasts using dark water. Darius's goal is to divert people towards Black's train company. In a critical moment during the confrontation, Eli uses his slug, Doc, to free the mecha beasts from the effects of the dark water, while Trixie records evidence of their crime. The Shane gang finds themselves on yet another adventure after escaping from Dr. Black's men following the destruction of his mech beast refinery. They unexpectedly arrive in Undertow Cavern, where they encounter the reptilian pirate captain, Malvolio Drake. A confrontation between Eli and Drake issues, where Eli ultimately defeats him and frees the captured slugs. Later, Pronto gets wrongfully imprisoned on false charges after he is caught stealing chewing gum, and the corrupt judge Logan sentences him to 50 years of hard labor, and the only way to free him is to make an incredibly difficult trick shot. To accomplish this, Eli seeks the help of Mario Bravado, a once famous trick shot artist who has lost his confidence. Mario agrees to train Eli, and he successfully executes the trick shot, freeing Pronto and the other prisoners. The Shane gang embarks on a mission where they meet the Yetis, who happen to be peaceful guardians and not some hostile beasts. Dana Poor, the daughter of Tom Poor, Will Shane's old partner, breaks into the Shane gang's hideout in search of a treasure that she believes belongs to her family. When caught, she explains her relationship with the Shane legacy during the confrontation with the gang. The gang discovers a safe hidden behind a photo frame in their hideout, which contains a treasure chest encased in molten magma. To open the chest, they must find a special slug known as the Forge's Melter, leading them to the magma caverns. During their quest, Dana explains that her father was promised a share of the treasure by Will Shane, but was ultimately betrayed. After capturing the Forge's Melter, the gang opens the treasure only to find it filled with everyday objects. The situation escalates when Dana uses the Shadow Talker, which allows her to summon the Shadow Clan, forcing Eli to encounter their leader. In the end, Dana disappears with yet another device she found in the treasure, a Shadow Walker that allows her to teleport. Eli Shane seeks the legendary slugslinger Leon to train him after she appears for the first time in 20 years, but soon discovers that Twist also seeks her guidance, creating a rivalry similar to that of his father and Black. The Master holds a competition in which most slugslingers are disqualified, except for two, of course, Eli and Twist. Just before the two's final duel, Dr. Black arrives with his forces, leading to a chaotic battle. Leon confronts Black while Eli fights Twist, ultimately defeating him. Tragically, Leon is fatally injured while protecting Eli, and before transferring herself to an unknown place, she entrusts him with the protection of Slugterra. Despite this loss, Eli defeats Dr. Black using a fusion shot with his slugs, Burpy and Jules, which forces him to retreat. Soon after, Trixie's camera is stolen by Dana, who uses the Shadow Walker device she took previously, which allows her to steal various items, including Dr. Black's blaster. Dr. Black hires the gentleman to retrieve his weapon and deal with Dana. As the gentleman pursues Dana, Eli hears of this and decides to protect her and recover the stolen items. Eli successfully saves Dana from being crystallized and defeats the gentleman, and then with a sense of camaraderie, she hands them the Shadow Walker, but Eli refuses to take it because it is safer with her since Black thinks she no longer exists. Later on, Dr. Black tries to destroy the Lumino Cavern using the swarm of neurotox ghoul slugs. The gang must locate Blight, who is the only person who possesses the knowledge to help them out. Blight is introduced as a deadly maniac whose reign of terror ended when Will Shane trapped him in the Cavern of Time, adding tension as Eli Shane must confront the possibility of facing a vengeful Blight. Upon finding Blight, they convince him to assist them in stopping the neurotox slugs, they save the cavern, and then they re-arrest him. Yikes. The Shane gang seeks Red Hook's help to create a fusion blast for Eli. He agrees, telling them that they need to get the Vitalis crystals. So the Shane gang head to the scrap heap, where they discover the crystal hidden in an air freshener. However, they soon encounter the Scrap Force, which is a gang led by Boss Ember, who challenges them for the crystal. Despite the battle, Eli and the gang manage to defeat Ember and escape escape with the Vitalis crystal, returning to Red Hook, who begins production of Eli's double-barrel blaster. Eli, Shane, and the Shane gang find themselves trapped in the deep caverns where they encounter the Shadow Clan once again. They explain to the Shane gang the importance of the Guardian slugs and how they are the most powerful slugs of all. These slugs keep the balance. However, the constant attacks from the Darkbane army on the Force Wall are weakening them. The Shadow Clan gives them a Shadow Walker, and with it, they pass through the portal only to get captured. But of course, they escape and use dark water to turn their slugs into ghoul slugs so that they can fight the Darkbane army and the Darkbane behemoth who manages to open the portal. After one fierce battle, the gang beats the army, the portal closes again, and Doc the Slug stays there because, well, it turns out that it can be a Guardian slug. In another confrontation with Black, Eli uses his launcher to make a fusion shot, but he makes a mess. The Shadow Clan condone his actions, and that's how they help him realize that the slugs need to be compatible for the shot to be effective. Using this new information, Eli destroys Black's train. And, as if getting his train destroyed isn't enough, El Diablo Nacho comes back. The Shane gang embarks on an adventure to the home cavern of the Molinoids while pursuing the villain Diablo's Nacho. Pronto is accidentally revealed as king, and Nacho is after the Mappa Mundi, a valuable Molinoid map that shows secret locations throughout Slugterra. Pronto ultimately steps up to defend his people against his nemesis Cedo, who is willing to help his benefactor Black. Pronto wins against Cedo, and right in the nick of time, the Shane gang arrives with the map, which is the last fragment of Molinoid history, hoping for it to be destroyed so it does not fall into the wrong hands. In the end, Pronto assigns Cedo as a proxy and goes on his adventures. The Shane gang is tasked with transporting the captured Dr. Black to Stalagmite 17 after he was found abandoned in the desert. Fortunately, Cord introduces modifications to their mecha beasts to enhance their capabilities, because Quentin, who apparently accepted Black's offer, attempts to break him out using an advanced tank. Anyways, the Shane gang once again defeat Black and complete their mission. Or do they? Because Black gets saved by the Darkbane after telling his story to Eli. The gang learns that Red Hook has been kidnapped by Black, who is forcing him to create accelerators for his ghouls so they can infiltrate Black's citadel and rescue him. Ultimately, the gang rescues Red Hook, not knowing that Black still has enough ghoul power to destroy Slugterra, despite stripping him of the accelerators. While the gang is testing their slugs and equipping upgraded gear, they learn that Dr. Black is activating a portal to bring in Darkbane. They launch an assault on Black's citadel after seeking help from the Shadow Clan. During the battle, Eli uses Burpy to close the portal, but Black tries to drag Eli into the deep caverns. Eli fires Burpy, who unlocks the updraft move, allowing Eli to escape while Black and the Darkbane fall into the caverns. This means that Eli's mission has come to an end, and he has to go back to the surface. And just as he was about to do so, Blight emerges riding a dinosaur, meaning that Eli is not going anywhere. After Black's defeat, Doc also retains his Guardian status, while all kinds of criminals start to emerge and take over Slugterra. So yeah, we could somehow say that Black was holding the criminals back. Now, among these villains, one of them stood out as the Dark Slinger, or Junjie, who has been possessed by the Goon Doc as we mentioned before. During the battle, the Goon Doc takes over Eli and leaves Junjie because he is now the best slug slinger, and his goal is to take over the 99 caverns. With help from his friends Doc and Burpy, Eli defeats the Goon and saves the day once again. Junjie, the master of Slug Fu, joins the gang and teaches them that they need to connect to their slugs to control them better. While they're training, their air slugs turn into ghouls, and their first destination is the Dark Periphery Cavern. On the way, they meet the Shadow Clan, who relay a message from Eli's father, who tells him that he needs to gather the elemental slugs and gives him a map to do so. Turns out, the Goon and his new host slinger have captured an elemental slug, while his associate, who is no other than Black, catches another one. The gang has to find the fire, the earth, and the energy elemental before their enemies, who somehow started bickering. This gives them an advantage, and they get to the earth elemental while also discovering that Doc is the energy elemental, so now both sides are equal. In the meantime, Red Hook gets attacked and almost dies, but Doc helps him revive. Alright, so now the only elemental left is the fire one, but unfortunately, Black gets to it first, and he gets all of the elementals shortly after, except for Doc. However, the gang does not give up and goes after Black and also Goon, who reveals that the body he took over is none other than Eli's father. He also reveals that he did not need a map since the information was already engraved in Eli's father's head. Just in time, Doc arrives and Eli shoots him at Goon, gets him off his father's body, and heals 2 elementals, which means that they now have 3 of the elementals. In a last confrontation, Goon takes over Black, Will Shane attacks him, but almost gets defeated right when Junjay and Eli come to the rescue. Doc separates Goon and Black, but the two team up together to shoot Eli. Before this happens though, Will Shane pushes them into a portal, sacrificing himself to save his son. Before he could mourn his loss, Eli had to ensure Slugterra's safety and fulfill his dad's wish. So he and his friends shoot the elementals simultaneously, restoring the balance and saving Slugterra once again. The mission now is to find Will Shane, and to do so, Eli has to sharpen his skills, because the elementals seem to behave as they please. So, Junjay recommends Slug Fu to connect with the slug and gain their favor. However, Cedo gets his hands on the elementals, so now the whole gang has to take them back, and when they do, a new villain named Spyrex gets a hold of them. As Spyrex threatens to destroy Slugterra, the Shane gang must unite to protect the slugs and thwart his intentions. The confrontation features a showdown between Eli and Spyrex, during which Eli learns to harness the power of Slug Fu, allowing him to effectively control the elemental slugs and ultimately defeat Spyrex, restoring peace once again to Slugterra. The Shane gang sets out to help their new friend Junjay return to his homeland, the Eastern Caverns. Eli Shane insists that the Shadow Clan must protect the 99 Caverns while they assist Junjay in reclaiming his homeland, and the clan actually agrees to work with them, opening a portal to the elementals. Upon their arrival, they find the caverns devastated and overrun by the Emperor's henchmen, who have stolen the slugs that provide energy to the area. Not only that, but they also battle some forces who hate the Darkslinger, or Junjay, while blaming him for the damage he caused 20 years ago, unbeknownst to the fact that he was being controlled by a ghoul slug. In the meantime, Holt steals almost all of their slugs, leaving them outnumbered and without their usual slug arsenal. Luckily, Burpy and the other slugs manage to rescue themselves and go back to the gang. Now, Eli Shane and his friend Junjay disguise themselves as underlords to enter a tournament that could lead them to the Emperor of the Eastern Caverns. The tournament's judge is a woman who turns out to be the unbeatable master Leon, Junjay's own teacher Leon. So that's where she went after almost dying. Well, anyways, ironically, Eli and Junjay are the last two standing, so they have to fight against each other. Their match ends with a draw, and they get to see the Emperor, who reveals that he contaminated the unbeatable master to become his servant. He also plans to do the same to all people using the elementals, since their energy would be enough. Now, the gang has no choice but to get to the Emperor through the unbeatable master. Junjay and Eli fight against her, the rest of the gang fight against the unstoppable warriors, and the king goes on with his plan. Unfortunately, the unbeatable master defeats Eli and Junjay, and the dark energy starts taking over them when Eli finally uses his new mastery of Slug Fu to break free all the stolen slugs and ruin the Emperor's plans. With the Emperor turning to stone, the unbeatable master refuses to help and promises to avenge him. Now that the teacher is the new villain, she recruits back the Emperor's followers, although one specific henchman does not fully obey her and controls the Stone Warrior. At the same time, the gang was focusing on clearing Junjae's name and celebrating their most recent victory. Suddenly, the teacher announces that the Emperor is still alive and that she is planning to revive him using the sword blaster that the gang took after their last victory. Of course, after she stole it from Pronto while the gang was fighting the Stone Warrior. The teacher revives the Emperor and captures the gang, who witness the Emperor's mistake as he drains the fighting spirit and the dark energy out of his strongest servants to infuse it into 2 warrior stones. The gang is set free by a bunch of the Emperor's followers who are in disguise and are heading out to rescue Leon, who somehow unveils the secret to the shared site by telling them to listen to their slugs. During the battle with the overconfident Emperor, and to beat him, Eli and Junjae lure this brutal villain and his warriors into the deep caverns first. At the same time, the others work together to push the unbeatable warrior through the portal. The Emperor falls right into their same trap after Eli uses his new skill to guide Share Sight with Burpy. The elementals, except for Doc who chose to stay with his friends, take the role of the guardian slugs and close the portal to prevent the Emperor from leaving. Still, as they start doing so, and ironically once again, Junjae throws himself at the Emperor to push him back in, although he does not have the same ending. However, the Emperor is immortal, and just like he and Will Shane also left once, one can assume they too could leave again. The Shane gang returns to the 99 caverns to find Gateway Cavern overrun with slugs. During their absence, the Shadow Clan has taken control, prioritizing slugs over people, leading to chaos. Shortly, a new surface kid named Tad arrives and hypnotizes the slugs away. The gang take Tad under their wing, training him to blast like a pro with Eli's old blaster, taking him on their adventures, only to discover that he got with them to gain their trust, find his father, Black, and steal slugs to corrupt them. See, Tad was a normal kid on the surface, but once he discovered his heritage, he wanted to continue his father's project. And he almost did it, and way better than his father. But ironically, again, he would suffer the same fate as his father and falls deep into the deep caverns. After this, Eli gets a message from his dad that he is 16 years old, and the rest of the gang makes a birthday cake for him to cheer him up. But after that, we see that Tad is saved by his slug Piper and is ready to take revenge on Eli. Now, I bet you guys all wonder what will come out of Eli's father, but we will never know because the series has been canceled. And that's it for today. We hope you enjoyed it, and we'll see you guys in another video.